in the early 1930s. This is a vehicle that, even though lots of times if you watch the documentaries, everyone will say, well, it wasn't very good, was it? It didn't really stand up to Western tanks like the Sherman that much in the Pacific War. Actually, this was a very advanced design when it comes into service. And it's also one of those vehicles that, again, if it's not got anything much to fight against in terms of other armour, actually, if you're the guy with a tank, it doesn't matter what tank, you're still the guy with the advantage. And that's exactly what the case was for the Japanese military early on in the war, out in places like Manchuria, etc. Now you can see on the vehicle, it's got what's called a 37mm gun. Early models had a 37mm medium velocity, later ones had the same 37mm but a higher velocity gun, and they'd also carry a couple of machine guns. Over those black, the armoured covers over those machine guns, one's facing forward, one's facing to the rear at the back of the vehicle there. Now, the chap who designed this sounds like an Irish comedian. His name was actually Tomio Hara, and he designed this new suspension system. It's called a bell crank suspension system, and it sort of makes the vehicle rock as it goes along. In the back of it, there's a Mitsubishi diesel engine. It's one of the few tanks, again, in the 30s with diesel in. And again, very cramped. There's only one person in the turret. It's got a three-man crew, driver down the front. There's radio operator and also machine gunner down there as well, squeezed in. And the interior was originally lined with asbestos. And that was to try and keep the heat down. From, again, if it's working in tropical climates, or I say tropical, Far Eastern climates, Pacific Islands, etc., they lined it with asbestos with the idea that that was going to be heat protection. And of course, we now know what problems asbestos caused. We're still removing some from some of our vehicle.